aren't that great in this email system. So. Well, I hope we have more than just Keith and Rob.
Yes, sir. Okay, I'm sending you something. Where should I send it to? Just the art, just the regular one? Okay.
Right back.
Hey, what email should I send it to?
Okay, now it's working, I believe.
Okay, I'm sending it to Susan Edge. Yeah. And I sent that. Okay.
Hello, everybody. This is Tim. I'm on.
Hi there,
Tim
Tim.
made it.
Tim.
Tim, Keith, Lynette. So,
All right.
Wonder if it will let me hide. No.
This is Randy. I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
masquerading as Kent.
That's the
Why
Zuber.
is that?
You know how to change that? Up in the upper right-hand corner of your little thumbnail, there's a little
Yes.
blue box.
Uh-huh.
You click on that. One of the choices you get is to rename.
Yes, I do see you.
There you
Great.
go.
You're
So
on.
raise hand chat. I
Oh,
want to be known as Kent.
It's really
Brown.
confusing if we have two of you. Yes. And then just type in the new name.
I'm not sure I see a position to type. I don't see
type
the
in Shirley.
Did you click on the blue box with the three little gizmos in it?
Let's try that. Chat, webinar settings, raise hand.
Didn't it give
Oh.
you?
It doesn't have any other options there.
Huh, weird.
Did we get somebody else?
Huh.
There's Paul.
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't see Mary yet. I don't see John.
You want me to fix your full plate or no?
I don't see Jerry.
I mean, I could be discreet.
Rob, why does your name say Kent Brown?
Mine, I don't know. I don't know.
Same reason mine does.
It says Susan Edge. I'm Kent Brown. Kent's Kent Brown. So's Randy.
We're
Yeah.
multiplying, so
Yes.
Thank you.
I do not know why. You guys know it. John made it on.
Yep. Hi, John. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got a quorum, so
I don't see Mary, but
no. And Tim's on. Tim's the phone.
Yeah, my computer's too old to Zoom. It won't download it.
So. Do we know if Mary's trying to join?
yes,
Okey doke. We'll
but
wait.
it's not cooperating, she says.
We're not in that huge a hurry.
It'll probably say Kent.
Maybe because, that's maybe why, because I'm forwarding my invitation to the webinar
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
to all these people, and that's why I
They're
sent
joining
that
as
to,
you.
rather than them responding and then filling out their information.
Okay.
That's why. I was just doing the quickest link to you all.
That's a real old show, which is the real Kent.
Would you stand up?
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Wasn't that to tell the truth?
That was to tell the truth. It was.
Yes.
And kisses?
And me a mask. We could all put on a mask. That'll make it easier.
Yeah, right.
Be careful.
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Yeah,
Ready? Want to try turning this light on for just a second,
maybe so.
if it changes.
That's better.
Mary's still trying. She just says sorry. Although she sent an emoji with a face mask. I didn't know those. I'm sure those have existed, but
It doesn't take long.
Yeah.
Says Cat Gaskins is up.
yeah.
John, are you wearing pants?
No.
Okay.
And my shirt's cut off just below the screen.
I'm gonna show you my new tattoo.
Hmm. I presume Jerry was going to join too, right?
Here, I
Yes.
just can't find it.
Okay,
Mary says she's still loading, whatever she needs to load.
okay. Sometimes that takes a little while.
Maybe I need to send the link for myself to Jerry as well. That way I can cover all the bases. So.
Really? You can get a super majority too.
Seven, Kent Brown.
Whoops, somebody's coming on. Who's the other phone one?
Isn't 674 like an evergreen exchange?
That's Jerry probably.
Could be,
He needs to unmute himself if he,
yeah.
that's not what. Yeah, that's Jerry. That's
Okay.
his number. That's his home number.
If you can hear us, Jerry, you're on mute.
There he comes.
Star 6 to unmute.
Uh-huh.
Okay, star 6, thank you.
Very good, very good.
I can see you, I can hear you, but for whatever reason, I can't get on the screen here.
Huh.
Oh, well. I'll keep trying on the computer, but meanwhile, I've at least
Okay.
got the phone.
All right.
If we could see you, you'd be Kent Brown as well. So
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep trying to join on the computer, at least. But no reason to wait on me. I mean, I can see you, so.
Well, we were kind of waiting for Mary. She's trying to get on. And the message she's getting says it's loading.
Okay. Well, I'm glad somebody else has the same problem. I logged in on the link, and it said, okay, you have to register and like make a request. So I filled it all in, and then I ended up with you guys on screen, but
Yeah.
no ability to.
I did the same thing. I filled out all the information that they asked, and then I got Lynette, Keith, and Kent, but they were the only three, and I could hear them, but I couldn't see myself or hear myself. So it sounded
How did
like kind of I came in as an audience member.
Okay.
Huh.
How did you get upgraded to your present visual state?
Well, if you check lower left, it's Kent Brown.
Oh, yes, that's right. You are Kent Brown.
Thank you very much. I'm the hairless version of Kent Brown.
Yeah, okay.
The evil clone.
That's
I thought
right,
there was a little extra glare.
Yes, that I have an open window next to me. You might be able to see that.
Yes. Ooh.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, great.
So, well, I'm tempted to wait one more minute. I've got 6:09. If we wait one more minute for Mary, and then let's just go ahead and start. If she's still trying to log on, she'll join us in a moment. So,
Does she have the phone number, Lynette? It might be helpful to tell her the phone number and how to unmute.
Kent did.
Oh, he did, okay.
Kent sent her the link. He may come up as another Kent Brown as well.
that was my plan. So
The female version
not
of
really, but
the many faces of Kent Brown.
Good thing you're not in charge of missiles.
You wanted a diverse administrator? You got one, buddy.
Really?
no,
Really diverse.
no.
Bald, female.
Okay, my clock's showing 6:10. I would like to call the meeting of the Board of Selectmen for April 28th, 2020 to order. I think we'll dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance since that just gets really garbled and I don't. So let me just go ahead and do roll call, please. I am Lynette Kelsey, Police Judge. John Jennings,
I'm here.
Rob Connell,
No, that's Kent Brown.
Rob Connell. For the record, Rob Connell,
Must have muted.
Oh, he's there.
He's-
He did mute.
For
Rob,
the record,
Rob.
Rob Connell is here.
He has himself muted.
so if you hit the space bar. Okay, you're unmuted. Rob Connell,
Just say here, Rob.
now you're muted again. Hit the space bar and say here. Rob,
He's not getting any audio.
Yeah, it's like he can't hear you.
okay,
Yeah, that's what he texted me.
okay. I will go on and come back. Keith Holmes,
I'm not Kent Brown.
we know that.
I'm here.
Yay. Paul Hinton,
Here,
thank you. Mary Smith isn't quite here. Tim Allen,
Here.
thank you. Rob, can you hear us yet? Judging by the frown, I would say not.
Almost had it.
Hello.
Well, then it unmuted just for a second and then it.
You're unmuted as far as we can tell. Can you say anything?
He's speechless.
Okay.
That's the first time.
Is this Mary signing in? Do you know if this is Mary signing in? Jerry and John are gonna have visuals pretty soon. Okay. So I'm gonna move along. Mary can announce herself when she gets in. Agenda approval. Does anybody have anything to add or change on the agenda? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All right.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Audience business. Members of the audience have 5 minutes to present any matter of interest not already on the agenda. Jennifer, do we have anybody wanting to bring anything to our attention in audience business? Did we lose
She
Jennifer?
said, no, you don't. No,
Okay.
she doesn't.
Okay, thank you. We have the payables from April 10th to April 23rd, 2020. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I had one question with the, I'm sorry, go ahead. I had one question about the VFD replacement at the sewer fund. What is the VFD?
Triangle.
That's a variable drive replacement.
Okay. Was it
Um,
unplanned or was it unplanned kind of thing, or did we?
Yeah. It was not a plan type thing, no.
Okay.
Do you even have a sign on for the racial success?
I do, yeah.
Oh, good, because I want to, my hand is starting to hurt. First name? Okay.
Yeah,
What the heck?
As an attendee, and then I'll promote him to a panelist. That's what I
okay,
had to do for Mary and Jerry.
okay.
And he could just,
They all together, too.
and call in any of these numbers. I'm not sure.
Mary, are you on yet?
Well, all the races up front, all they got is one race. I said, why would he do that?
No, he can hear.
I said, two of y'all here.
Can you hear me?
I see three. Like I said,
There's Mary Smith coming on. I see phone numbers that I don't,
And verify the home address, please.
pardon?
All right, it's gonna be $15.47.
Where's that coming from?
Lynette, this is Tim.
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the payables for the dates between April 10th, 2020 to April 23rd, 2020.
okay.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the payables from April 10th to April 23rd, 2020 as presented.
Right.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 You ask him who.
Yeah.
Any opposed? Okay. Next, we have the minutes from our April
Yeah.
15th
Well,
meeting.
no, you can call and then Jennifer can upgrade you to a panelist.
Does anybody have any comments, corrections?
I didn't see anything.
So if you go on the link, get off your link right now.
Not
and
for
try
me
to-
either.
Okay.
I think we're good.
I would have suggested that in the second paragraph of new and unfinished business, the contract with the special events coordinator, I would have inserted the word potential in between the words two conflicts of interest, two potential conflicts of interest. Since we decided it wasn't, they weren't actually. Is that okay with everybody?
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Fine.
Okay, that was all I had. Anybody else have anything else? Okay.
I'll let you
I
go.
would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the April 14th meeting as amended.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Been
This
moved
is
and
Tim.
seconded to approve the minutes of the April 14th regular meeting as amended. All in favor, say aye.
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 I,
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next we've got the update on the public health emergency measure. You want to start us off, Kent?
Sure.
All right, $10.71.
As far as an update on the public health emergency, there has been some talk that regarding when the town hall will be reopened to the public. And
Excuse me, just 1 second.
yeah,
All right, have a good one.
Could I ask everybody who is on but not part of the board to mute themselves so that we can hear what's going on, please? Thank you.
Oh, that's nice.
there you are, Mary. I see your picture now.
All right.
That's much
Can you
better.
hear me?
Things
Can you hear
got
me?
quieter so that, yeah, we can. So, all right. Carry on, Kent.
Okay. There was some discussion regarding reopening town hall. And then also the county brought it up, asking all the communities when they were going to, the possibility of reopening their facilities. I don't think we're ready yet to open up town hall. It seems to be working well enough right now with the ability to contact by phone, email, leave packages at the door, and also utility payments through at the box at the door, that it doesn't seem to be a major problem. We haven't received any complaints regarding the ability to contact at town hall. We are ordering a couple different plexiglass partitions to put at the front of town hall, or basically in front of the desks at town hall. So it provides a little bit of a barrier between when the public is allowed in and from the employees. But I didn't know if any board member or the police judge had any contact with anyone asking when town hall was going to be opened up again.
No,
I have, other than typical, the county wanted to know.
Right. And the county
This
is
is
going to
Tim,
open
and
up their, I'm sorry, Tim, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I haven't had anybody ask if town hall was going to open.
Okay. The county building is going to open up on Monday, I believe, at least partially. The county building here in Georgetown. But that,
For the, is it considered 18? I mean, hold on. 369. It's 3 pins in each. There's 3 are male, so it's 18. So 2 boxes.
I think we're getting feedback or overlap with something else. So,
Yeah.
I can hear you fine, Ken.
okay, okay.
I know, it sounds like a person working at a store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we mute them?
I don't know, I mean, I don't see,
We're not recognizing the number. So,
Hey, Kent.
I mean, there's
This is Tim.
Go ahead, Jen.
This is Tim, yeah. I just wanted to say that I kind of feel that the town should follow what the county does as far as opening up. And what I'm talking about is like the lake and things like that. But town hall, I don't think we necessarily need to follow the county. If we want to keep town hall closed and it's working out well, I think that's fine.
that's good to know. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's any urgency to open up town hall. We just want to be prepared when we do open it up. Or, just to be prepared, that's all. When to allow public in.
Yeah, one of the things that I've been noticing is that other counties and other areas where counties, the state and the counties and the municipalities all have different rules regarding, opening or that kind of thing. It gets real confusing if they're all different from each other. So that's why I say with like the recreation areas, motels, whatever, short-term rentals, lake, things like that, we should follow county and all do everything together.
Hmm.
Did you have something to say, Lynette?
There, I see that point, but I also see the fact that we're right on the I-70 corridor, and a lot of a lot of contagious people could swarm the county, swarm our town, and then where are we? I hesitate to say we should do the same as others who don't have that same situation, but it's open for discussion, definitely.
Yeah, no, I was just referring to Clear Creek County. If they're gonna open up their roads and things like that, then maybe we should follow suit, and open up the lake and things like that, because people are gonna come.
Sure.
I don't want to make it really difficult on our law enforcement agency either.
Exactly. Kent, you've been listening in on the commissioners' discussions more than I have been able to. I think they are trying to pattern whatever they do after the governor's orders and the state public health, which gives a certain radius where people it's perfectly okay to recreate in your own area, but don't go beyond 10 miles away from your home to recreate.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's really no urgency from the county. They're trying to have a measured approach, and there's not, from the majority of the commissioners or from the county staff, there's not a urgency to reopen things right now. Now that can change, and they also are meeting or providing information twice a week, at least twice a week. So they have a much more fluid situation.
They're not going to be continuing that Thursday update.
Right. Right. That's right. They did say that today. Yeah. But they do meet more often than we do. So they are providing that direction.
The other thing just to consider when we're talking about opening town hall is that the commissioners are putting provisions in place to have a security guard posted at the entrance to the courthouse and a public health nurse they're going to be taking questionnaires. They're going to be taking temperatures of people who walk in. Everybody has to wear a mask, and it becomes difficult for all public governmental agencies to offer that same level of screening. We're not even going to be able to probably have that same level of screening down here at the annex building. That's just at the main courthouse.
Okay.
So just so that everybody knows, it's not just fling the doors open and let everybody in.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else to say regarding town hall at all?
This is Tim, and I don't.
Okay.
I think it's fine staying closed.
Okay. That's what we'll do. The business recovery communication, I really think I contacted one business today as far as and provided them the information and directions that have been given for their procedures that they need to follow to open up, if that's the word for it, as far as this is not non-critical retail. And we are going to be sending that information out to all the businesses, the similar information, and trying to coordinate with the county's public health as far as what communication is being sent to them. But also, as far as the business recovery, tomorrow the county is setting up a policy group that is talking about what's the next steps forward as far as to help the various businesses throughout the county, because that's going to be an ongoing question here for the next several weeks, as far as what are the procedures, what are the things that will be allowed and not allowed, and what are they going to have in place in order, and continuing to have in place as these things start to return to whatever the new normal is going to be. And that communication is going to have to be a lot more constant in the next few weeks. And also with that, I was starting to suggest and starting to talk with the different business members as far as how we could have key communication throughout the business community as this goes forward. Because right now there's really no changes until Friday. There are some businesses during this week that they could have curbside pickup. That doesn't really mean much to our businesses in this community. But starting Friday, if they follow certain directions, they could be open up to have people inside the store. And it's trying to get that communication out to the business community. Of course, that just came out over the weekend, and really the public health order just came out late yesterday or early today. So this is not something that the communication is coming. They're getting it as fast as they can from the state. It's just the timing is very quick to try to get it to the different business owners. And I didn't know if any of the board members had contact with business members, business owners, or people involved with various businesses, and are seeking information along those lines.
I've only had one business owner talk to me, and they were fine, kind of how it was kind of progressing.
Okay. Did anything come up at last week's, wasn't last week promotions?
No, that'll be a week from tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
But we're working for that. And then the special events coordinator is calling each individual business directly this week. So, and getting some additional information from them. So. Any other concerns, comments, complaints? Mary.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
I can.
Hey, I've had a suggestion that isn't crucial that we act upon, but I just want to throw it out there at this point. As far as when our restaurants are reopening for actual occupancy, that perhaps we, the town, would like to consider opening up like Strauss Park as an extendable area for wining and dining from the restaurants. So I'm just throwing it out there now as a food for thought.
I could see it as an additional dining area. We'd have to check in the rules and regs, of course, regarding wining and dining area, but that's an interesting thought.
Right. No, and that's why, yeah, I mean, it might allow the restaurants to feed a few more people if the occupancy is going to be limited. So I just thought I'd throw it out now that we can all kind of ponder on it before our next meeting, because I don't think anything's going to open up until mid-May anyway. So that's it. That's all I got.
Why? There.
Oh, the host has stopped my video. Okay, you guys can still hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
my screen went wacko and went to speaker and yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think somebody's playing with all the gadgets. Keep going.
That's all right. And then I'll move. There may be, just to let you know, as far as businesses, there are a couple other things that are we're having to deal with as far as the businesses have been allowed to the restaurants have been allowed to have alcohol, that people can pick up alcohol from the restaurant. And that order actually ends this Friday, because that was a temporary suspension of a portion of the liquor laws in order to allow that to happen. Rob, you're back. I have a video of you.
How
Fantastic.
do I look? Better? Younger?
You're
sound
better.
great.
You're better and younger.
You need
The
those Snapchat filters.
but we may have some communication from businesses urging that to be allowed to continue. And been talking with a business or two regarding that, and there may be a direct appeal to the town or to the board regarding that to allow that to continue. It's a state law, but just to let you know that that has been something that's been kind of a lifeline for a couple different businesses, so that they're, you know, a lifeline until they're allowed to operate as a real restaurant again. So,
Right.
Can I make a suggestion? You know how we cut off that 6th Street and make it into a walking mall? Do that from can we do that from like 7th to 9th and up to, what's it, like 2nd, or well, not 2nd, 7th? You know, make that mall a T. That way people can go from restaurant to restaurant with a drink or something like that, as well as the park. But, you know, the relaxing of alcohol laws didn't, well, I don't know. I appealed to the police officers for that data, but I didn't, you know, I'm ignorant to the offenses that this relaxing of the liquor laws might have done, but just thought maybe if you want, that might be compromise and might be easier since we've done it before.
yeah, I don't know.
The other option, I don't know how quickly it could be put into place, but I know Denver has toyed with the idea of doing kind of an open, I'm not even remembering exactly what it's called, but like on First Friday art crawls, being able to walk from gallery to gallery with your glass of wine. It's sort of a, I don't know.
No, it's not. Oh my God.
Hey, Randy, did you want to speak to that at all?
I'm familiar with what Lynette's describing. I think whatever we might look at in that direction can get proposed. I got distracted by a coyote looking in my window.
Okay.
I love the mountains. We'd have to look a little closer to see what's proposed. Rob can use a little geography on the town to design it in to where he's talking about. We're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, he enclosed kind of a non-commercial area, but we'll make it
Pretty much
the rest.
Lynette's house.
Lynette will say just BYOB, right? So, but
Yeah,
that has become an issue as far as the allowance of that. That's really helped a couple different businesses. So, and just what Mary has said and Rob has said, you know, there might be different ways or creative ways that we'll have to have more specific proposals going forward to allow that to happen. So,
is there any chance, do you think, that the state might extend it, just because there was such a hue and cry when they closed down the liquor stores, and they swiftly moved in and changed things?
I expect quite a big of response. If it's going to end Friday and they're not allowing the restaurants to open for probably 2-3 more weeks at a minimum, I don't see what the purpose would be
Yeah.
of stopping it all of a sudden.
Right.
So,
Particularly if you couldn't pinpoint that it had created some highly unusual and very, very difficult to handle problems. Seems to be working. They're not making the headlines with anything.
right. At least not yet.
Have we had any issues, Randy or John or Kent Brown number
Locally-
2?
Locally.
Not
we
to,
have
not,
nothing.
I haven't had any, but I think we're talking about two different things here. One, being able to purchase alcohol and take it home versus drinking in a specific area, open container. We would have to definitely, I think, modify our existing open container ordinance to allow that one specific area if that's, that would, obviously the board would have to do that and get that in the books where that could happen.
Yeah,
Okay.
John's right. That's,
Right, but no, I'm just
No.
asking about if we were to,
Go
I was
ahead,
just asking
Mary.
if we, if, as the rule stands now, if it became problematic for law enforcement with the takeout and take home issue. Not
hasn't.
expanding it to walkabouts and stuff. Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions, concerns in that area? If not, I'll move on to the utility bills, late charges, shut up. Oh, Jerry, did you have something to say? I know you tried to say something right after John.
no, I was just supporting what John was saying about needing to change the open container law if we're going to have the sort of walkabout system that was discussed. So
Right.
I was just agreeing with John.
Sounds good.
Yep.
The utility bills, late charges and shut-offs, we know we put that into place to have no shut-offs and no late fees for the bills that were due at the end of March. And as we're going into the end of April, we have at the end of March, we had the percentage of delinquent accounts was about 18%. And then as of the end of April, of course, the last 2-3 days here of April, there'll be a number of people that will pay. But our percentage right now is 35%. But expect that to go down, obviously in the next, because a lot of people pay right when it's due, not before it's due. So the staff recommendation right now, as far as the end of April, is to just keep going the way it is. We might change it in the next month to where there's a late fee added, so there's some incentive to pay, or we could do that now. But next month, have it in the late fee added on, that might be a little more incentive to pay. But just take a wait and see attitude whether the shut off is instituted at that time back into place. The bill is still accruing with all these, but and we normally have a little bit less percentage than that as far as those that are late. So 35% is quite a bit, but it's not completely out of the realm of possibility for this time of the month, because there's an awful lot of folks that pay right as the bill is due. So, and we can give an update on that, at the next board meeting as well. But does that give pause or give you any concerns about that going forward, or what staff is recommending?
I would prefer to continue with suspending late charges and shut-offs for at least another month, and then look at it at the end of May.
I agree.
Agree.
I agree. This is Tim.
I just paid mine online this afternoon.
I'm good with that.
Thank you, Paul. Well, you were one of that 35%,
I
so
know.
now I get to lower it. So.
There's
That
four
was
now.
lower.
I think I sent a big check.
Salary checks.
I'm sorry, Mary, it was breaking up. Mary? Did you-
Nothing. I'm good with it. I'm good with giving it another month or so.
Okay. All right. Okay, the requested letter supporting the proposed health clinic. Unless anybody wants to continue with the public health emergency measures, have we exhausted it for tonight? Did you have something, Tim?
No, I have nothing, no.
Okay. I did, just, it occurred to me, I had Matt Taylor, who's our mapping specialist here at the county. He lives up in York Gulch and so considers himself a local and sort of put in a plea for opening the lake to fishing. He loves to fish. And I said, yeah, I'd love to say, yeah, locals could fish too, but it's very hard for anybody to distinguish looking at it. Is that guy a local fishing or is it somebody who drove up from Denver? And it just becomes an enforcement nightmare, and I don't think we're ready to open the lake yet. So I told him I would let him know when we were.
This is Tim, and I agree with what you said. It'd be a nightmare for our law enforcement folks to have to try to deal with that.
Yeah. So, okay. Moving on, we have been requested to provide a letter supporting the proposed county health clinic. And that was in your, well, there was an example in your packet.
And I did get a sample letter that was more Georgetown specific. I did not forward that to you, but it doesn't really, it's not that much different from the one that's in your packet. So.
And the reason they're requesting that is for fundraising purposes. They're still trying to dredge up funding, and all support that they can get from the towns within the county is helpful for them.
I think it's a great idea.
Did anybody have any problem with the wording?
Nope.
You're gonna follow the wording sort of like this one, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but it's more from Georgetown's point of view, not regarding the bus stops that are there, although it's important to have transportation to there and back.
So,
Yeah, I'm good with it.
okay. Is anybody opposed to supporting that letter? Okay, I didn't.
As long as we're supporting that they go out fundraising, and that it's not any kind of county funds or tax funds, because remember the taxpayers, when we voted, the consensus was that it was not going to be funded by county tax money.
Right. Yeah, I didn't see anything in that letter that would lead us to, it would lead anybody to believe that we were supporting it be funded through taxpayer dollars. So just supporting the effort as a whole. How about you, Paul?
I'm fine with it.
Okay, wonderful. And Rob, nod your head if you're okay with it. Or unmute yourself.
I am okay with it.
Okay, there you go.
Trying to keep my background noise to a minimum, that's all.
Okay, wonderful. And Keith,
I'm good.
All right, very good. Sounds like unanimous. Okay, then we move on to staff reports, and the sales tax overage for Parks and Rec. Are you gonna lead us on that, Jerry?
Yes, I am. Can
Okay,
you guys
wonderful.
hear me okay? I'm on a telephone, but
Yep,
looks like I'm getting some head nods, so.
good audio. Yeah,
So fair enough. We have just a little over $30,000, I believe. Is that right, Kent?
Yes.
That was the excess? Yeah.
$31,455.19.
Okay, and that came in as sales tax, and of course, under Tabor, without belaboring the point, because we've had discussions before about how we got to that, but under Tabor, that particular excess, if you guess wrong in the first year, you've got to return. Now later, the tax ballot question, which passed, said and any further amounts in future years. So this will be the only time there will be this problem. But there is the problem in the first year, which is always the trick, guessing the number right. And you know, if you guess too high, maybe people don't vote for the tax, and if you guess too low, maybe there's a refund. And in this particular case, it's a refund. The Tabor says you must refund it in the next year, and there's been a lot of case law under, well, how do you go about that, and what kinds of techniques can you use, and how exact does it have to be in terms of getting the taxes back into the hands of the people that pay the excess? And thankfully, the courts have been really pretty forgiving about understanding that it's very difficult to do that. You know, you get people, who knows where people came from. It might have been Georgetown, it might have been Idaho Springs, it might have been here in Evergreen, where I am, it might have been in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and they're driving through, and they buy things, and it's just very difficult to figure out how to do that. So the courts have been pretty forgiving. I'll have a recommendation in a minute, but I want to give you kind of the landscape. One town actually cut checks and sent them to town that was Larkspur. Yes, you can cut checks, but here the cost of cutting those checks is going to be a significant fraction of what you're returning, and that's just it's costly to do that. The main games out there are sales tax rebates or refunds in some way, or sales tax free days, property tax credits, and utility billing credits. Those are the three big categories of techniques and methods that have been used for Tabor refunds. Here, I'm going to be recommending, and Ken and I have talked about it, door number 3, utility tax credit, because that would be the absolute easiest for the town to process. Let me knock off the other two, though, briefly. On sales tax, there are some communities that will do that, saying, okay, we're going to reduce our sales tax percentage temporarily by 0.5% for, you know, they kind of run the numbers, how much usually comes in daily, and so they can kind of do rough justice and say if we reduce it for a week by 0.5%, then, you know, that returns it to the taxpayers because they're paying less. It's not really a refund, is it? But you're paying less tax as a taxpayer. So in that theory, the people paying the taxes get a benefit. They don't get cash, but they get to pay less tax in the next year, and that works, and that's been allowed. But the problem with those kinds of arrangements, whether it be a temporary sales tax reduction rate, a tax-free day, something like that, is that you've got to go to the vendors and get them to reprogram their registers and to accommodate that. And that's a real hassle for them at a time now, especially where the vendors are having enough problems of their own. It's just not a great system, and I think it relies on people that are, you know, they're the vendors, and they get a vendor's fee for collecting the tax, and the town actually does pay a vendor's fee to vendors to collect the tax. But that's, while a little more direct in terms of where the money came from, it's more problematic, I think, in terms of the hassle for vendors. Not impossible, but especially for this amount of money. I mentioned property tax credits. Those have been used. They're delayed is the problem because of the way we pay taxes in arrears in Colorado. You get your assessment, you pay your taxes for last year and the next year, and it's by the time the property property owners in town would see that, it would be delayed. Number one, they'd be a little confused of why. It would be kind of a significant decrease in property taxes here in town because that's such a small fraction of the town's income that to reduce it by $31,000 would be a pretty big reduction that people would notice. They'd be glad in that year, but the next year, which is now 2 years out, they'd be wondering how come their tax bill went up. And you'd have to explain that. Just not worth doing for those two reasons. It's delayed, and you cause more confusion than necessary. Bringing us to utility bills, which isn't a particularly direct way of refunding, no question. But if you were to reduce utility bills by some amount, per EQR would be the way to do it. So that if you paid more EQRs, if you're a business and you're paying more EQRs, then your reduction is greater because for a month, and Kent can run some numbers for us in a minute, but let me finish the idea, which would be that per EQR that an individual EQR utility payer has in town, you'd reduce it by an amount that you've calculated that will get you the $31,000 return to people. From the perspective of getting the money back into the hands of the people that paid it, there's no question that it's pretty indirect. And if you're in from Tuscaloosa, you're not paying utility bills in town, and you're not going to see that directly. But it passes kind of the straight face test in the sense that businesses in here in town will experience that. Those businesses, that's one of their costs to do business. Their costs to do business do reflect the prices that they charge customers that come in. So you have to kind of connect the dots, but I think that you can. With respect to utility bills that are paid by property owners in town, those property owners actually also do buy things at retail in town. Now, I agree that there's a good fraction of people that don't live in town that have paid that tax, but again, I kind of rely on the idea that to the extent it reduces the operating cost of a business, it reduces the chance that they're going to have to increase their prices. It doesn't have to be returned to those buyers in sales tax reductions. It's just they pay less money or they don't pay more money, the prices don't go up as fast. That still gets money into the hands of retail customers who are the ones who largely generated that money. Now, and you're about to ask me, well, have the courts tested that mechanism? CML puts out a Tabor handbook, and I've got their most recent one here in front of me from 2018. And on that specific point, here's what the handbook says. It says, other towns have used utility bill credits to give back excess revenue, and those who have used this approach have not been challenged in court. I'd love it if there had been a case. I'd feel better. But I will say that at this amount of money, I'm not certain that there's a big chance for challenge, number one. And if there were, number two, I think it's reasonable to explain to a court that you make the explanation in the way I just did. If you're from out of town, you buy things at a business, now their cost of doing business is less, and so you benefit. And if you're from in town, you buy things at a business, same thing. And exactitude is not required for refunds, and the courts have been very good about supporting honest efforts by local governments to return money. And this is an honest effort. We're not trying to hide the money in some other form of the budget so the town gets the benefit of it. The town would actually return that money to individuals, and that's the heart of the Tabor refund requirement. Kent, can you elaborate on, and then we take questions, but can you elaborate a little bit on what that would mean in terms of rough numbers per EQR? And for example, if I'm a bar or restaurant, how many EQRs I have and what that might result
Well,
in?
and we included a spreadsheet in your packets that basically the amount of the discount that where it would be equal the closest amount to the $31,455.19. The
Everybody lose Kent.
Yep.
Yes.
I lost Kent.
Okay.
Lost
He
him.
froze up.
While
there he
Kent's
is. Now you're
out,
back.
No,
I
he's
wondered if-
coming back. Coming back.
Says my internet connection is unstable. So am I now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can hear you.
The EQR that's closest to the amount is $30.08 per EQR. We included a spreadsheet in your packets that has that on there. That would mean for 600 residences, it's, $30.08 off their bill. And then for restaurants, it's just a matter if they have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 EQRs, it would just be a multiplier of that $30.08. So, if you ended up with 6.5 EQRs, you'd end up at $200 off your bill. Now, obviously their bill is more than that because they get charged per EQR, but it would be one of the things that I like about this method is it reaches every single customer. And so that every single customer in town receives some benefit. And then second of all, the people who use more, they get a bit more of a benefit. The ones that are higher users would get and that EQR is set annually as far as number of EQRs, or it can be adjusted annually. It isn't based on their current usage. So like a certain business is not using anything now. No, it's going to be based on their EQRs that they are set up in the system for. So they would still receive the same benefit as if they were under full production. So that I like the ability to serve every customer with that some portion of the refund. And I know it's just people in town, and the people outside of town don't get any benefit of it, but that's just too bad. Sorry. And I'd rather take care of the folks here. So,
Well, I think that
and
their
take care of the
benefit,
businesses here.
the people out of town, their benefit is indirect.
Right.
But to the extent you come into town and have dinner at a restaurant, I can make the argument at least that you see some kind of effect.
Right.
It may not be in a reduced price, but the business is going to have more money on to keep prices down.
Yeah.
There is like an economic effect. Wouldn't that be safe to say?
Explain that.
So in other words, if the business owners don't have to pay that tax, that relaxes their dependency on overhead expenses. So they're able to pass those savings along either to the customer or out to their employees.
Yes, I agree. And I think that's a fair way to articulate to the court that you're refunding the money you're trying to get the money, ideally, under TABE. Remember, it's the taxpayer's Bill of Rights, not the employees of businesses' Bill of Rights. And so the idea is that you should try, or that your goal is to return that money to the taxpayers who paid it, that you took more money from than the Constitution allows. So you need to be able to make a good faith argument that while indirect, it goes into a system that taxpayers of those businesses benefit from. And your point about reduced operating costs, I believe, is a fair point to make to the court, that it eventually makes reduced costs that customers pay less money, because operating costs dictate prices in a business, and we all understand that, and I think it's a fair point to make.
The further theory is that, when your prices go down, you're going to get more patronage. And so your business is going to get that kickstart, kind of like, after this virus thing is over with.
Other thoughts around this? I've got a
Can I ask a
suggestion
question?
for how to move forward. Yeah, Mary?
So I don't know how our renters pay their water bill. And I'm thinking along the terms of some of the apartment buildings that we have. Would this, do they pay individual water bills? Are the meters hooked up like that? I mean, is it going back to the people who've been living here for the last 8, 9, 10 months, renting in the community as opposed to the property owner? I mean, I realize a property owner would probably get the money, but how does that work with tenants and renters?
It depends on each situation. Some of them have the landlord they just include it within the rent, and then the landlord ends up paying the water bill. And the other situations are the tenant pays it, but the landlord is notified. They get a separate indication on the water bill, and they're still responsible for the water bill, even if the tenant pays the water bill. So there are going to be situations where the tenant, it may not get passed along to the tenant, but that's up to each individual, their own agreement between landlord and tenant.
So to rephrase what you just said, the reduction, will the reduction appear on a month's water bill? And then whoever ends up being responsible for paying it will benefit from that reduction.
Yes.
So
yes.
If a tenant is responsible, theoretically, they would end up benefiting from the refund.
Yes.
Okay. Because it's not like we're actually taking that $30.08 and paying it to people. We're taking that much off of a given month's water bill.
Correct.
So
I wasn't going to go door to door and hand $30 to each person, but so.
Understandable.
Oh, come on. It'd be the Georgetown stimulus check.
Popular.
When would we anticipate?
As
When
soon
would
as
we anticipate issuing this credit, refund, whatever, credit, I guess, really a credit, right?
Does this have to be by resolution of the board?
Yes.
Right.
I'm glad you asked that. I think it will be important to do it by resolution, because, not least because I want to take the opportunity in the resolution to articulate connect the dots, articulate the rationale for the town refunding sales tax dollars to taxpayers through the mechanism of a utility bill credit, and kind of articulate all the arguments I have made and that you've helped me make, and kind of tell that story, number one. Number two, it really is it's a budget kind of action that you're taking. It needs to be more than just a motion. We want to make sure we memorialize it and articulate very clearly, here was the amount of the excess, here's why under Tabor it's required to be returned to the voters, here's why the Board of Selectmen reviewed the various options for refunding the money, here's why the board believes that this is the most effective way and the least cost-effective way, so that you can refund as much of the $31,000 to taxpayers as possible, rather than having some of that refunding cost get eaten up in administering it. And here's why refunding a utility bill actually has a trickle-down effect to retail sales tax payers, and therefore it satisfies the requirements of the Constitution, and we now hereby resolve to do it and direct the manager or the administrator to impress those, or to apply that refund on a per EQR basis to the utility bills for the month of whatever. And that can happen in your next meeting. I can have that resolution ready. I think if Kent's got the numbers, he and I can put that together, and that'll be on your agenda.
So then that would reflect in the bill, probably not that goes out next month, but the one that goes out in June.
Probably, yes.
Okay.
What I guess I'd appreciate tonight, and Kent and I would appreciate, is direction from the board to bring forward a resolution that proposes a required Tabor refund through the mechanism of a utility bill credit. I'll bet John might make that motion.
I would make that motion. You can
I'll
count on
second it.
Was that you, Mary?
No, it was Keith.
Oh, okay, sorry. So it's been moved and seconded to recommend proceeding with that resolution. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Good girl.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Discussion on town facilities.
That's really just a continuation. I don't know why I put that as a separate title underneath there, but it's really just regarding the lake and the playground. You know, we've made those two orders basically regarding the lake, that it's closed as far as the parking around the lake, and that there's only 2 activities allowed at the lake. And then also the playground, trying to keep people walking through it and not to be a place to congregate or to stand around. The both have worked fairly well. I did ask Paul earlier today, since he lives right across from the park or the playground, if he's noticed anything. He said he's noticed people every once in a while, but not in great numbers and not very often at the playground. And whether they were locals or out, you know, people that are not locals, hasn't really noticed to be able to say that. But it hasn't become a problem, and I would think the police officers, Randy and John, if they're still on, would agree regarding the playground really hasn't caused too much of an issue at this point. The lake's been, go ahead, John.
I was just agreeing. Not that I've seen, has not been a problem.
I talked with Randy earlier regarding the playground. Would really want that to be available to locals. I don't want it to be, you know, overrun with people from outside of town coming to the playground. But it is, you know, the townsfolk should be able to enjoy the facilities that are here in town. They shouldn't have to avoid everything just because we get a bunch of people from the outside coming in. And if there's a way or a manner that staff can figure out a way that maybe during the week, over the next weeks, it doesn't mean tomorrow. It just means over the next couple of weeks that maybe we haven't been doing that much enforcement regarding the playground anyway, but that it's okay for locals to use. We just don't want the big crowds of folks to use the playground. Or the picnic areas at City Park is probably the bigger concern for right now. And that's why all the picnic tables are together. And then as far as the lake, keeping the fencing in place and the parking lots blocked off for at least the next couple of weeks. There really isn't any urgency to open that up at this time. And it's more, as Tim said earlier in the meeting, as you know, we follow what the county's doing regarding their closing the roads and closing different facilities within the county. There's no need for us to be ahead of everyone else or to broadcast it. Although we are getting contacts, I am getting several contacts a day regarding fishing at the lake. I just want to let you know that some are by local, some are by everybody else in the state that views Georgetown Lake as the #1 fishing spot in Colorado. No, not just, probably not, but it sure seems like it. But for the next couple weeks, at least until the next board meeting, I don't see any need for anything different than what we're doing right now. Do you guys have any concerns, comments, complaints regarding that?
No, I agree.
This is Tim, and I agree with both of those ideas. I think the local kids should be able to play in the playground, and I think that the lake should stay as it is.
Do we need extra sign? And Randy and John could probably address this best. Do you think extra signage on the construction side of 22nd Street, especially on weekends for no parking, would help at all with the visitors who are coming down to the lake? You know, right opposite where the fence was constructed?
I would be able to answer basically that we have a lot of signage out there. We can certainly put more up. It's a simple process with what we're doing. But nobody reads the signs. So we could just make a lot of signs there that you see, you live down here, you see what we have. We just have a lot of people that think they want to be here.
What about at the playground,
Oh, I know.
a sign that says locals only or something? Would that be helpful or not?
I don't know if that'd be.
It would be difficult.
Same thing.
The playground, I'm surprised.
Especially
Paul
because
said he's
kids
seen
don't
that
carry
many
their
people.
driver's licenses all the time, you know?
That too. It would just be difficult. We could, like Kent and I spoke about, a soft opening where we don't advertise it. We just kind of let it start, people start easing back into there without really a big deal about it, and then slowly remove the signs, then go from there. Would
I like
be
that.
the best route. Because we put it out there, and especially if it's advertised in any form, which would be on Facebook, as soon as we put it out, it's open, it would get on Facebook, and it would be, that playground and that park is full of people from the metro area pretty regularly as soon as the weather gets nice.
Yeah.
I agree.
I do too.
And the same thing with the lake. At some point, we'll just kind of quietly remove the barricades and the boundaries, but I don't think we need to be in any rush to do that. The benefit to the town from what comes to the lake isn't as much as we would think.
Right.
People come to the lake just to go to the lake, and then they'll go to Family Dollar or the liquor store or the gas station.
Maybe.
That's a layman's view.
All right. Any further discussion on either the lake or the playground? Okay, so status quo for now, and when we reopen, we'd be aiming for soft opening without a lot of fanfare. Okay. Fee schedule, special event permit application fees.
I'd like to bring forward to you, and I'll bring it in the next agenda. Right now, we do not have a special event permit application. The county does, and we've been relying on them for a lot of different types of things. But as we go forward, we have a street closure permit, we have liquor, we have all kinds of other permit applications, but there's a couple different special events that kind of, it would be better to have a special event permit application and also a fee schedule associated with it, not a tremendous fee or something, just make it so that it's can be reviewed by staff, because there's a couple different things that staff has really pointed out, and I don't know why we don't have one currently. And we've But I'd like to bring forward to you permit application and an adjustment to the fee schedule regarding the special event permits. So didn't know if you had any, just in general. I know there'll be more specific questions when that actual permit application is presented to you. But if you have any direction at the start when we put it forward for you.
I guess I'm in favor of recouping staff costs that are involved with administering anything to do with the special events. Yes, they bring dollars in and we don't want to make it burdensome, but staff time is valuable and I think we need to cover that.
I agree with that.
Sounds fair.
Did you have anything to add to what I said, Randy, about that?
It's just an idea whose time has come. All the events are becoming more popular, so we're having a lot more people. And we're finding that we're not paying attention to liability issues upon the town. Other issues as far as how many people they really expect to have. We're having limited parking as everything is getting built up. It disappeared a whole amount of parking we've always had and been accustomed to. So people in the neighborhoods suffer when they come home and there's nowhere to park and they can't get out of their driveway because everybody for the events are just filling into the neighborhoods. So it's probably time to look a little closer at how it's handled.
And we can recoup law enforcement costs in those fees also. I believe.
We could create a manner for that as far as hiring off-duty officers. We're already working with the cooperation with the county in an agreement with the county that we provide those services and through their billing. It's more so just like I described earlier.
So it sounded like everybody was in agreement. So we'll look forward to seeing what you propose next meeting. And then census update.
Just what was included in your packets as far as the latest numbers for that. Georgetown is still the highest responder within the county, but it's still not a majority of the people within Georgetown. So, you know, it's up over 20% now, but kind of surprised that it isn't more.
And I guess I kind of wanted to just keep revisiting it so that if anybody has ideas that could help boost that, especially during this time when they can't really safely send people door to door. How do we get people to go ahead and sign on and complete it? Because it's super easy to do.
You need a megaphone. That's basically it. Just drive around in a car with a big PA system on the roof. I mean, it sounds silly, but it's one idea.
Yes.
And just put the website on the side of the truck or the car and, you know, drive through the neighborhoods. It's got to be the easiest way to disseminate information.
We get a sandwich board for John.
Yeah.
Playing a kazoo. Yes.
Can we put something on the water bills? Can we put something on the water bills that
Yes.
would, you know, bring people's attention to? That would be maybe a suggestion.
I was thinking water bill and on the website to push it. I don't know how many people visit the website, but I would hope if they have any questions, they would. And it's just so easy. Have a link from our website over to the to the, either the county's website link or directly to the US Census link.
We could have law enforcement pull.
How many people do we feel?
Make them do it on their cell phone.
Say again, Keith?
How many people do we feel?
Pull people over and fill it out on their cell phone.
Well, what did you have to say, Mary?
Do we know how many people percentage-wise are on the town's email list? And, you know, I know it's broadcast on there too, but I was also going to suggest, if we don't seem to have a large number of email addresses on that list, that might be something else we want to, especially in light of the fact that we're going to be giving back money or crediting money. Maybe that would be kind of an incentive to say, hey, make sure you're on our email list, make sure you file your census. Just a thought.
Okay, yeah. I know Ulla Karen had talked about putting different computer stations, kiosks throughout town, and I don't know if there's any place that's still practical to do that in this time frame and with precautions that need to be taken, but we could certainly look at that too.
I'm told the library has one computer outside.
Okay.
I mean, it would take some upkeep or some setup, but the community center would allow people to stay 6 feet apart, and you could probably set up some computers in there.
Or
Do you
even,
think we could have Parker
Especially
do a
with the food
public
pickup
announcement?
that they're doing.
there you go, have Parker the snow dog,
That's a good idea.
our honorary mayor,
Just do a
make an
public
announcement.
announcement.
Yeah.
Yep. Something on the order of Parker, the snow dog, made sure that his dad did the registered. So,
Yeah.
and a little video to go along with it.
It's a good idea.
Okay.
You know, we swore him in. Let's put him to work.
Oh, he has been working. Georgetown got mentioned in an article in a German dog magazine that was featuring Parker. Did you see that?
There was also like a mention in like a, I think it was like a Taiwan news broadcast.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
Stop my
Dustin
subscription
showed
to
it
German
me.
newspapers and magazines.
So, all right, all good ideas. Great. That's what I was hoping for. So keep those coming.
One more thing, Lynette.
Yes.
Did send you, and it just, we'll be updating this each meeting as it goes forward now, once we start getting actual information regarding our sales tax. But I did forward to you in your emails, look for it in your emails. And I don't know, I don't think I'll warn Jennifer enough to put it up on the screen right now, but if our, I just gave an example within those of our sales tax revenue dropping, having a 50% reduction in March and 90% reduction in April and May.
Wow.
And then, I mean, that's just an estimate. I mean, that's what another town had said near us. And then having it throughout the year have less than that. And then if that would happen throughout the year, we'd end up around $325,000 short as far as sales tax. And then I also had another spreadsheet on reducing those expenses for this year's budget. And it's basically within the general fund that would be affected. And gave an examples, and we came up with about the approximate same amount. We have 318,000 shown on the screen here. of different things. Part of it is the annual road project and the savings we had from the road project from last year because of the Gateway project. And then several other things within that. Obviously delaying some things regarding parks, but that's, the sales tax that's not being collected would have been generated towards that park sales tax. But that gives one example. By the next meeting, we'll have the March sales tax figures. So we'll be able to update this going forward. It's not really for any action by the board. It's just for information that we're keeping track of it, and we'll give you more scenarios in upcoming months as we get those sales tax figures in. And it may not be, I'm just taking a little bit more extreme example for March, April, and May. But we're getting the sales tax from what people order directly. So as you can see now that Jennifer has this on, you can see the different colors in the 2020 column there. The yellow for March, April, May is red, and then June and July is yellow again, 50% reduction, just because we don't know what the landscape's going to look like. It's going to be changing, and then obviously a little bit better, hopefully towards the end of the year, or that we don't take steps backwards. Or what is our local businesses going to be able to function the way that they have. So it's kind of the setup to kind of allow you to keep going on a regular basis in future meetings and give you a snapshot of where we are and what's the information we have currently. And then when we get to a decision point, you'll have seen it for at least a couple, 3 meetings before there's decision points to be made. So I just wanted to point that out. And if you have any questions, concerns, comments, or complaints, please let me know.
Okay, that is helpful. Okay. Anything else anybody wants to bring up?
But just are those super conservative projections?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm also going to think of a worst example, but for right now, yes.
Right.
Yes.
No, I hear you. I noticed that it was somewhere in the neighborhood of what our revenue was in 2016.
Yes. Yeah, it would, basically put us 5 years back, 2016 to 2020 as far as, and plus we have an extra we have an extra percentage than that in 2016. We have the park sales tax, and I think that was before the road and bridge too.
I thought Road and Bridge was 15, took
The
effect
15
in
election and
July.
it started in 16. Okay.
I thought it took effect in July of 15, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Well, it looks like it did from the 2015 one. It's went from 43,000 to 75,000. That
Mhm.
could very well be.
So I could have my dates wrong. All right, anybody else?
One other thing, Lynette,
Yes,
Jerry just wanted to make sure, ask again for audience business. You did ask at the beginning if there was any that Jennifer had received any, but if there's anyone that was able to be, or if there's on the chat function, any questions that come from the public, they can certainly do that since we do have the ability of people attending this time
okay.
on Zoom.
So at this time, I would ask if anybody has any audience business to bring forward. Okay. Seeing none, And if nobody has anything further to chat about, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank
Lynette.
you, everybody. Have a good night.
You too.
Good
night.
Good to see you.
Good
Put a
to see
mask
everybody.
on.
Have a good night, all.
Mary, you've got
Right.
low bandwidth.
What?
You've got low bandwidth. What it says on my